once you become aware of something, of what you need to let go of. So like in my personal situation, in my story, I I became aware, first stage awareness of life, I became aware that I was living my life on autopilot, or this aspect of my life was on autopilot, right? And I don't want it to be on autopilot. This autopilot setting was not for me. It wasn't for me. And I was being a clinical pharmacist, and I still am a clinical pharmacist, but I'm more than just a clinical pharmacist now. And for me, clinical pharmacy just wasn't enough. I didn't feel like I couldn't measure the value that I'm delivering. And I'm a person who loves to measure value. And so I couldn't measure the value of what I was delivering. And at the same time, it wasn't something that I was naturally gifted at. Um, and there are things that we are come I do believe that everybody has something that they're like inclined towards, something they enjoy doing, and you don't have to pay this person to show up. Like for me, with clinical pharmacy, you have to pay me to show up to be a clinical pharmacist, but to do what I'm doing right now, you don't have to pay me a penny. So you can see the distinction between the two of these things, and it's the journey that I had to get to that stage of realizing, oh wait, like I can actually not look for what I'm trying to get out of YouTube, not look for what I'm trying to get out of public speaking, and think about what am I trying to give to it instead. So this is the operating ground at which I play at. I think about what can I give, what value can I give, what value can I deliver, and that's where I live. And um yeah. So anyways, as I was saying, so I became aware that pharmacy wasn't for me. I then decided to sacrifice. So I let go of certain things. I let go of certain distractions so that I can focus more of my time on my growing passions in public speaking, my growing passions in coaching pharmacy teams, GP teams, and so on. Like I became much more interested in that, and I decided to sacrifice. So but I became aware of what I needed to sacrifice first before I could make the intention to decide to sacrifice. And obviously then was the discipline of keeping away from certain distractions. And 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 more recently I've arrived at a place of recognizing that I need to be I can't control when the success happens. I can't control when I help a pharmacy to completely automate. I can't control when necessarily I help GPs to future proof their business. I can't control when these things happen, but I can control the conversations I have. I can control making the right courses and products and services that help GPs and help pharmacies towards that end. I can control those things. And so it's important to focus on what you can control, because if you start focusing on what you can't control, let's say I want to be in a particular shape and size by this day and this time, like, and it doesn't happen, it's going to feel demotivating, it's going to feel depressing. And ultimately, in my personal views, is that the only person who can control outcomes is God, right? Anyone can count how many seeds are in an apple, but only God knows how many apples are in a seed. And the difference between the two is, if you cut open an apple, you can count the seeds, right? But you don't know which one of these are actually going to produce trees which produce more apples. That's an outcome. And that's not an outcome you can control. You can control whether you plant the seed. You can control whether you water it, whether you've got the insecticides that that keep the tree healthy and stop insects from eating what you're growing. Do you get? So you can control those things. And so I challenge you to focus and think about, what is it that I can control? What are my input objectives to achieving the outcome I'm looking for? So if your input objective for automating your pharmacy, or if your input objective for you know, automating your GP practice is to focus on improving staff quality, and training and delivering leadership. These are things you can control. You can't control whether it happens or not, but you can control what you do about it. And you need to be aware of that if you're gonna have a transformation, because transformation needs to happen at a place where you are, not a place where you're trying to get to. It needs to happen where you are in your geographical space. And so that's why it's important to be aware of the inputs. So I want you to think about, at the end of this video, just think about like what input objectives can you set in your life to help you to move from A to B. An example of input objectives might be every morning I'm going to write in my diary, or every morning I'm going to do X, Y, and Z activities for this outcome. The outcome is not something you can control, but you can focus on what you can do about it. You can focus on whether you show up or not, and typically showing up is half the job anyway. So yeah, so I hope you found this piece of wisdom useful. Next week we are going to be jumping into episode 4, which is awareness of the body. And yeah, I'll be looking forward to talking about that. But yeah, if you found what I'm saying useful, please give it a like. Um, and yeah, and please drop a comment if you've got anything else to add for the community. And I'll see you in the next video. Stay blessed. Peace out. Bye.